All right, welcome back for part 4. We're going to get started with round 23. What I'm going to have you do is chain up 5, and this is going to serve as a treble chain 1. Okay, now you're going to do a treble into the next treble, and then you're going to chain 1 and do a treble into the next treble 7 times. 1, chain 1, 2 trebles, chain 1, a third treble, chain 1, a fourth treble, chain 1, a fifth treble, chain 1, a sixth treble, chain 1, and a 7th treble. So this is going to complete the first of our pineapples, of these 27 pineapples for this round. So you've got 9 trebles here total and 8 chain spaces, okay? Now you're gonna chain 1 and do a V-stitch into the V-stitch. Double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. All right, now, we're going to chain 1 and do a treble 9 times, okay? So this is gonna be the first one. And this is where our repeat starts, this chain 1 treble. The chain 1, do our second treble. Chain 1, do our third treble. Chain 1, do a fourth treble, chain 1, do a fifth treble, chain 1, do a sixth treble, chain 1, do a 7th treble, chain 1, 8th treble, chain 1, and a 9th treble. You're going to chain 1 and do a V-stitch into the V-stitch. Now, you're going to repeat that 25 times, and then we will slip stitch to the top of this chain 4. And at the end of this round, you're going to have 243 trebles, which makes up 27 of these pineapple extensions. You're gonna have 27 V-stitches, and you'll have 270 chain spaces altogether, okay? All right, so I've come to my last V-stitch. I'm gonna chain 1, and I'm gonna slip stitch into the 4th chain of the chain 5. That created our first treble. And that completes round 23. Moving on to round 24. Now we do need to get back into this V-stitch, so I always flip my work, okay? And I keep my tail behind my hook, and now I'm going to slip stitch into the top of that double crochet, and I'm going to slip stitch into the chain 2 space, okay? Some of you may want to slip stitch a 3rd time into that double crochet. That is totally up to you. I'm not going to do that. We are going to flip our work back around, and now we're going to chain up 4. Go ahead and double crochet into that same V-stitch. It may get a little bit wonky, but we'll straighten it out when we close up this round, okay? Now that you have that, you are going to be chaining 3 and putting a single crochet in each of these chain spaces. So you're going to chain 3 and put a single crochet 8 times. So let's do that together. 1, 2, and 3. That chain 3 is going to serve as the beginning of your repeat. We're going to put that single crochet between those trebles. Chain 3, put your second single crochet between those trebles. chain 3, and a third single crochet, chain 3, a fourth single crochet, chain 3, and a fifth single crochet, chain 3, a sixth single crochet, chain 3, a seventh single crochet, chain 3, and an eighth single crochet. Now you're going to chain 3. I'm going to turn my work a little bit, and we're going to put a V-stitch in the V-stitch. And that's going to complete our repeat. So you'll go back in and repeat 26 more times the chain 3 single crochet 8 times and a chain 3 V-stitch and a V-stitch. You will omit your last V-stitch and end with a chain 3, which I'll help you close out that round. At the end of this round, you're gonna have 27 V-stitches, 216 single crochets, and 243 chain 3 spaces. All right, sorry I just hit that. To wrap this round up, I've just completed my last single crochet. I'm gonna chain 3 and slip stitch into the second chain of our chain 4. And that should straighten out that V-stitch, okay? All right. Moving on to round 25. You are going to slip stitch to the V-stitch. We're going to chain up 4 and double crochet into that V-stitch. And now our repeat's going to start. You're going to chain 3 and put a single crochet into that second chain 3 space, and you're going to repeat that 6 more times. So chain 3, put your second single crochet, chain 3, put a third single crochet, chain 3, put a fourth single crochet, chain 3, a fifth single crochet, chain 3, a sixth single crochet, chain 3, a seventh single crochet. Now we're going to chain 3 and put a V-stitch in the V-stitch. And that's going to complete your repeat, where you'll put chain 3 single crochet 7 times and a chain 3 V-stitch in the V-stitch, and you'll repeat that again 26 times. You will not put a V-stitch in the V-stitch on your 26th repeat, and at the end of this round you're going to have 27 V-stitches, 189 single crochets, and 216 chain 3 spaces. All right, to wrap up this round, I've completed my 7 single crochets in the repeat. We're going to chain 3, omit that last V-stitch, and we're going to slip stitch into the side and the back bump of the second chain from our chain 4. And that will complete round 25. Moving on to round 26, you are going to be slip stitching into the V-stitch. You're going to chain up 4, put a double crochet into that same space. You're going to chain 2 and put another V-stitch in that V-stitch. So double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. All right, and here's where our repeat is going to start. We're going to chain 3 and put a single crochet into that second chain 3 space. Chain 3, do your second single crochet into the next chain 3 space, chain 3, do a third single crochet into the next chain 3 space, chain 3, a fourth single crochet into the next chain 3 space, a fifth single crochet into the next chain 3 space, and a sixth single crochet into the next chain 3 space. So now you're going to chain 3 and you're going to do V-stitch, chain 2, V-stitch into all of your V-stitches. So let's do a double crochet, chain 2, do another double crochet, chain 2, now do a double crochet, chain 2, double crochet into the same space. All right, so each of your V-stitches is going to have, and that's going to complete your repeat. Each of your V-stitches are going to have 4 double crochets separated by chain 2 spaces. So go ahead and repeat that around 26 more times, and you will end with 6 single crochets in a chain 3 space, which I'll help you slip stitch to that as always. But your repeat is going to be a chain 3 single crochet 6 times, and then a chain 3 with a V-stitch, chain 2, V-stitch into the top of each V-stitch. At the end of this round, you're going to have 108 double crochets, 81 chain 2 spaces, and then you're going to have 162 single crochets and 189 chain 3 spaces. All right, to close out round 26, I just finished up my last repeat of my 6 single crochets with my chain 3 spaces. I'm going to chain 3 and slip stitch to the second chain of our original chain 4. All right. Moving on to round 27, we are going to slip stitch into this first chain 2 space. We're going to chain up 4 and put a double crochet in that same chain 2 space. Into the next 2 chain 2 spaces, you're going to put a V-stitch. All right, it's gonna look like that. Now, this is where our repeat starts. We are going to chain 3 and do a single crochet into, starting with the second chain 3 space. We're going to do that 5 times. So chain 3, put a single crochet, chain 3, put a single crochet, chain 3, place a single crochet, chain 3, and your 4th single crochet, chain 3, and place your 5th single crochet. Now you're going to chain 3 and you're going to put a V-stitch in all 3 of these chain 2 spaces. So double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. Let's move directly into the next chain 2 space and do another V-stitch. Go straight into the next double chain 2 space with a V-stitch. And that's going to complete your repeat. You're going to do that where you have 5 single crochets for this round in the pineapples, and you have your 3 V-stitches in those chain 2 spaces. Okay, repeat that 26 times. You will end with the single crochets in the 26th repeat. At the end of this round, you're going to have 81 V-stitches, 135 single crochets, and 162 chain 3 spaces. All right, to wrap up this round, we're going to have a chain 3, and we're going to slip stitch to the second chain of the chain 4. Make sure you're picking up the back bump as well as the side, and that'll complete round 27. Moving on to round 28, you're going to slip stitch into this first V-stitch, chain up 4, and put a double crochet in that space. Now you're going to chain 1 and put a V-stitch in the next V-stitch twice. So chain 1, V-stitch in the V-stitch, chain 1, and a V-stitch in the next V-stitch. And this is where your repeat is going to start. You're going to chain 3 and do a single crochet 4 times. So 1, 2, 3 chains. Put that single crochet into the second chain 3 space. Chain 3. goodness, my yarn keeps slipping. Put your second crochet in the next chain 3 space, chain 3. Put your third single crochet in the next chain 3 space, chain 3, and put your last single crochet in that next chain 3 space. Now you're going to chain 3 and put a V-stitch in the next V-stitch, chain 1, put a V-stitch in the next V-stitch, chain 1, and a V-stitch in the last V-stitch. And that's going to complete your repeat. You're going to repeat this 26 times. You're going to omit the last 3 V-stitches and end with your 4 single crochets here separated by chain 3 spaces. At the end of round 28, you're going to have 81 V-stitches, 54 chain 1 spaces, 108 single crochets, and 135 chain 3 spaces. All right, so to wrap up row 28, I'm going to finish chaining my 3 and slip stitching into the second chain, side and back bump of that chain 4 that we started with. All right. Moving on to round 29, you're going to slip stitch into the V-stitch, chain up 4, put a double crochet in that V-stitch. All right, now this is where your repeat's gonna start. We're gonna chain 2 and put a V-stitch in the V-stitch. Go ahead and chain 2 and put a V-stitch in the V-stitch. Now you're going to chain 3 and put a single crochet 3 times. So chain 1, 2, 3. We're going to put that first single crochet in the second chain 3, chain 3, put your next single crochet, chain 3, and put your last single crochet. Go ahead and chain 3 and put a V-stitch in the first V-stitch. And that's going to wrap up your repeat. We'll do it one more time together because I know it started in a funny place, but let's go ahead and do a chain 2, a V-stitch in the next V-stitch, chain 2, and a V-stitch in that third V-stitch. You're going to chain 3 and do a single crochet into the second chain 3, chain 3, put your second single crochet in that next chain 3 space, chain 3, and put your third single crochet in that second to last chain 3 space. Go ahead and chain 3 and put a V-stitch in the V-stitch, and that's going to complete your repeat. So you are going to repeat this 25 more times, and you will omit the last V-stitch, ending with a chain 3 space. I will help you with the end of this round. At the end of round 29, you're going to have 81 V-stitches, 135 chain 2 spaces, including all the chain 2s that are a part of V-stitches. You're going to have 81 single crochets and 108 chain 3 spaces. All right, to close up this round, I'm going to chain 3 after that last single crochet and do a slip stitch into the second chain, back bump as well as the side to complete it. Moving on to round 30, you're going to slip stitch into the V-stitch, chain up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and do a double crochet into that same space. Now to start your repeat, you're going to chain 2 and do a V-stitch, chain 2, V-stitch into this next V-stitch. So double crochet, chain 2, double crochet into the same space, chain 2, Do a double crochet back into that same V-stitch, chain 2, and another double crochet. Go ahead and chain 2. You're going to put a V-stitch in the V-stitch. Now we're going to single crochet, chain 3 single crochet twice. Nope. Yep. 1, 2, 3 chains, single crochet in that second chain 3, chain 3, and a second single crochet into the next chain 3, chain 3, and put a V-stitch in the next V-stitch. You're going to repeat this around another 26 times, and you'll omit the last V-stitch. So what you'll have is a chain 3, a V-stitch, chain 2, V-stitch in your middle V-stitches from round 29, a chain 2, a V-stitch in the V-stitch, chain 3, single crochet, chain 3, single crochet, chain 3, and a V-stitch in the V-stitch, and that is going to complete your repeat. Again, I will help you close out the round. At the end of this round, you're going to have 81 chain 3 spaces, 81 V-stitches, 54 single crochets, and 189 chain 2 spaces, which does include all of your V-stitches, okay? All right, to wrap up this last bit, we're going to chain 3 together and go ahead and slip stitch into that second chain of our chain 4, and I will link at the end of this video for you if you're not already seeing that pop up, the part 5 for this pineapple Afghan. But you should be having some cute little pineapples really be forming, and we'll work on the tip in part 5.